Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Fallen London. Today we're going to be having a look at May's exceptional story, The Mudlark's Lament. But as always, at the start of a new exceptional story, I encourage you to play these yourself. There are spoilers ahead. Become an exceptional friend. Not only do you get access to these stories, you get access to the House of Chimes, an expanded opportunity deck, and a second candle. And if you're feeling particularly generous, you can support me on either Ko-fi or through the YouTube membership program. Also, don't forget to subscribe. But without further ado, let's follow the stink of sewage. Oh, lovely. The smell is both regrettable and undeniable. It inveigles its way under doors. It slithers through keyholes and the cracks in the window pane. It gathers like a storm cloud in your path. The streets outside of your lodgings are wet and mucky, as if you had just missed an impossible downpour. Just what has happened while you slept? We can either consult the Gazette, as any Londoner must when there is gossip to be gleaned, but it is too unseasonable to trade rumour in person. Or we could brave the bathroom. It is a morbid curiosity to be sure, but the smell seems to be more pronounced near your bathroom door. And something is making noises. Let's brave the bathroom. What could possibly go wrong? Immediately upon swinging the door open, the smell doubles in intensity. Mercifully, your olfactory receptors can only handle so much. Your nose is still present on your face, but it seems to have shut down in astonishment, and the nauseous wave lasts but a moment. But the noise persists. It is a ragged and echoing gurgle, resonant and bestial. It emerges from the tap and drain in a torrent, as if some leviathan writhes in the tunnels usually reserved for your old bathwater. Something foul is afoot here, if not in your pipes, then in the sewers at large. London is awash with a foul and pestilent stink. I guess we shall consult the Gazette. Not since before the fall, when the choleric miasma haunted our streets, has our fair city been befouled by such a pestilent stink. Your correspondent finds it difficult to muster herself for long enough to pen this article. Such is the foulness of the odour. But we have a duty to report, and report I shall. I am able to confirm some scant details. It seems some as yet unexplained motion of the Untersee, or perhaps a somnambulant restlessness of the bazaar, has displaced the water of our stolen river, and our present predicament arises from a temporary glut of misplaced sewage. The article goes on like this for some time, blaming various ministries, local construction efforts, and general moral paucities for the stink. Apart from the undeniable fact that a large quantity of sewage is not where it should be, it is largely guesswork. I guess it's time for us to look out of the window. Something rat-a-tat-tats at the pane. A pigeon, searching for escape from the odour. Another rat-a-tat-tat. You twitch the curtain back. An urchin clings to the outside of your lodgings, the majority of their face covered by a dirty, spotted cloth that cannot offer much protection from the smell. They pull the covering down, revealing girlish, determined features that quickly turn green in the miasma. It's Colonel Molly, prominent face of the urchin gang known as the Regiment. I guess we should let her in. Forcing a child to remain out in the stink is a cruel and unusual punishment. Crack the window, but quickly to keep out the odour. She clambers inside, quick as a monkey, pulling the sash down behind her. "Cheers, my lady," she says after a couple of deep lungfuls of less miasmic air. "You've probably smelled the news. Well, we got..." From within your lodgings, pipes groan and bellow. Colonel Molly raises her eyebrows and sets her mouth in a grim line. "You can even hear it here then. I'll make this a bit easier." What brings Colonel Molly to your window? Something ain't right in the sewers for sure. Her eyes flick to your bathroom door, as if worried something might emerge from the drains. None of the longshanks know what yet, but we do. You chews her lip. Urchin gangs are generally reluctant to solicit the aid of outside individuals, especially adults, or in their parlance, longshanks. Past their mid-teens, people become, in their experience, boring and unreliable, and other urchin gangs are, naturally, sworn enemies. But you're an exception, of course, I suppose on account of, having some experience in sewer-related matters? Ah, yes, the matter of the crocodile and the sequined illusionist. You have walked the sewers before. That was an exceptional story where there was a crocodile in the sewers. That was fun. We'll probably be the only one who would say yes to us. Is yours the first lodging she has visited? Her nauseous coloration suggests perhaps not. Let's go with the having experience in the sewers. There's a monster down there. In the sewer places. You can hear it on the riverbank. The Mudlark's legions swear blind that something nasty came upstream when the river surged. She pauses, letting the groaning from your pipes punctuate the conversation. It does sound enraged, more like a trapped beast than a movement of water. Don't get me wrong, we have a plan to deal with a monster. She's back on firm ground here, confident in the abilities of her gang. But first, we need to find it. One of my Mudlarks has volunteered, but I was hoping you will go with her. You have the dubious honour of being an expert in London sewers. A monster in the sewers? It seems upsettingly plausible. If so much sewage has been displaced, it is not too much of a leap to imagine something more frightening being swept inland as well. Something loud and fierce and hungry. Colonel Molly stands in your salon, spotted handkerchief around her neck. She snaps into a lopsided salute. We'd appreciate your help. If you ever says this to anyone, I'll deny it, but it will give the troops confidence to have a dependable longshanks on side. Alright then, what's your plan, Molly? You found the beast. What's her next move? Or is she expecting you to deal with the beast yourself? Boy, no! She's offended by the idea that the regiment cannot handle itself, her face all screwed up in a scowl. We have plenty of courage and firepower on our side. It's all in the flip, and it takes a lot of troops and a lot of time to move it down suicide. He is clearly reluctant to spell out the entirety of the regiment's scheme. You are trusted, but old habits die hard. You are not quite one of them. Look, if we wait until we're all set up to go looking for the beast, then it might eat someone or worse. This way, by the time we're ready, you'll be able to tell us exactly where the monster is. It's, what do you call it? She taps her foot. Efficient use of time and resources, isn't it? Can't deny the plan. Okay, well, let's ask about the volunteer. Molly indicated that you would be accompanied by one of her Mudlarks. What kind of child would willingly charge into a monster's den? Molly's shoulders sag slightly. She's one of our most enthusiastic members. That pause is load-bearing, and she notices you noticing. Well, the plan was to send you in by yourself, and then while you found it, we get all set up. But she begged me to let her go with you. Molly shakes her head. She was going to sneak off to the sewers, whatever I said, so I gave her the nod. It don't sit right with me to send one of ours in alone, but I can't spare the urchin power. So you'll have to keep an eye on her, right? I think she has designs on taking the thing down herself. Uh-oh. Well, let's inquire about the Mudlark's Legion. Mudlarks, usually children, work the riverbanks, picking through the muck for valuables. Does the regiment have a whole legion of them? Molly looks slightly abashed. Not really a legion in the truest sense, she admits. The Mudlarks and Toshers, those who scour the riverbanks and sewers for discarded treasures, form an invaluable but invisible part of the eclectic economy of the urchin gangs. It's less glamorous than thieving, Molly explains, but often more reliable and carries fewer risks of incarceration. If that is you can stand the smell. The others were taking a mickey out of them for being all stinky and spending more time in tunnels than on rooftops, so I gave them a title. She offers a gap-toothed smile. Soldiering is mostly about morale. Well, we can raise the issue of payment. Urchin gangs are not typically receptive to invoices and regard property as something very flexible. But there must be remuneration planned for such a perilous duty. I will owe you all right. Colonel Molly seems somewhat uncomfortable talking about money. It is uncertain how much education urchins receive in the particularities of finance. The Legion ain't been able to Mudlark for fear of the monster, so you'll get a cut of the profits once they start back up. On the subject of what exactly these profits are likely to be, she's infuriatingly vague. People throw away all sorts, is all she says. Okay, well, we have three options here. We can accept to help the regiment. A gang of children should not, after all, be menaced by a fearsome monster in the dark. We can accept for personal reasons. A monster lurking on your home turf, perpetuating noisome disturbances in your own pipes. This will not stand. Or we can accept anticipating a profit. It takes a special kind of faith to believe that this venture into sewage for the sake of children's fears will be profitable. But you have this faith in spades. Since this is pretty much my entire life, I'm definitely going with the faith in money. Colonel Molly's expression of relief is quickly papered over, and she adopts a solemn and soldierly countenance. Thanks. She offers a sticky hand. Knew you was the right choice for this. I have to get back to the fleet and get the troops in order, but you'll find your backup down by the river. She knows who to look for. She pulls the handkerchief back up around her face and clambers back up onto your windowsill. Oh yeah, her voice is muffled. Don't wear any nice clothes. She throws one last passing salute, pulls open the window and disappears across the rooftops. If the Toshers can profit from sewers, so can you. Now, what should you wear? What should I wear? My evening outfit? That seems about right. Maybe I should, can I put on, maybe my hard-wearing outfit? Where does it want me to go? Along the stolen riverbank, here we go. Since the fall, the banks of the stolen river do not swell or dry up with the seasons. There is no tidal push or pull, no unseasonable rain to raise the water levels. It is just a steady flow of greenish water and a vast, vast quantity of mud. There are fewer urchins than usual picking through this mud, even accounting for the stench, which you re-experience in waves. Your senses briefly letting your guard down and becoming once more overwhelmed. The number of mudlarks is dramatically down from their usual throng. Well, let's descend to the riverbanks. It is the rare Londoner who looks down when crossing Hood's Bridge. Rarer still is the citizen who witnesses the sludge below and elects to clamber down into it. Still, a job is a job. For a moment you see the mudlarks, as most urchins see other Londoners, from a perch 2 stories above. But soon enough you are down in the mud, struggling to keep your shoes free of a substance that seems likely to suck them from your feet at a moment's notice. We gain some night soil of the bazaar. The mud is hungry, welcoming thing. A great, wet hug that is oh so grateful for the human contact. Urchins watch your wading with amusement, but none move to approach, let alone help. In fairness, none of them are hurling rocks at you either, which is what usually passes for a welcome among the urchin gangs. Let's meet with Colonel Molly's volunteer. A creature so mucky as to be barely recognizable as a human being, wades through the mud at a swift rate of knots. Hello! The child before you, for improbably a child she appears to be, and not some imp risen from the silt, is spectacularly grubby. She wears yellowish waterproofs, and her sou'wester slips over her eyes. Strapped to her back is a wicker basket, almost as large as herself, in which a muddy missile of brick and brack is visible. Well, let's introduce ourselves. Mercifully, she has not offered her hand for you to shake, but some social overture must be made. The Precocious Tosher hops from foot to foot, impatient. Yeah, you're Molly's longshanks. The girl breathes through her mouth, and her voice is thick and stuffy, as if she is recovering from a recent cold. Just so's you know, I don't need you. She sniffs, looking you up and down. I suppose you can come along. I need somebody to be there when I kills the monster, so that the others believe me. There's a child in there, beneath the muck. She has levered a long, wooden stick from the mud, a bargeman's pole, and now uses it as a sword, battering the empty air. With every thrust, the weight of the stick nearly unbalances her, and she staggers around in the muck. Everyone else is scared, but I ain't scared. She grins a fierce, snaggle-toothed grin. I'm an adventurer and monster hunter. What can you tell me about this so-called monster? Has the Precocious Tosher seen the beast firsthand? Yeah, but we all heard it. Sounds like rockfalls and creaky buildings, and steamships and hunger. Her eyes are bright and enthusiastic. Talk of hungry monsters appears to energize rather than frighten her. She grabs a rock of something from the river, coal, and hefts it. A stinky little David squaring up against an imaginary Goliath. Molly says you've got experience in the sewers. She sticks her tongue out, a startling red against her muddy face. Bet I know 'em better. I know 'em better than anyone. They'll sing songs about how well I know 'em. You'll see. He gurgles the opening bars of something tuneless and unidentifiable. Do you know the ballad of Johnny Croak? The Song of the Valkyrie? The questions are rhetorical. He leaves no space for you to answer before continuing. I'm going to be one of them. I'm going to be a slayer of monsters and find her lost things. I'll bring down Mount Nomad. I'll find the lost hordes of the pirates king of Geiger's Morn. I mean, she has aspirations, I'll give her that. Johnny Croak, that was another exceptional story that's on the channel. That was a fun one. Alright, well let's examine the basket strapped to her back. Black mud trickles through the gaps in the weave. What treasures has she pried from the mud today? Noting your interest, she reaches back to grab a handful of items. She thrusts them proudly at your face. The smell is, unsurprisingly, unpleasant. People think there's nothing down here apart from what they threw away, as if folks don't throw away incredible things all the time. Cradled in her grubby hands are shards of pottery, little bent nails, fragments of something metallic and glittering. There's a difference between not wanting something and something not being valuable. People throw away all sorts of great stuff. Slivery says the bazaar's thrown away whole cities, and Slivy knows everything. The Precocious Tosher does not seem to require your approval, or really any response at all. She spends a long moment contemplating the majesty of her treasures before remembering herself and putting them back in her basket. We can turn your focus back to the riverbank. The Tosher seems eager to get going. We should get going. Last time I heard the monster, it sounded close, and I don't want to let it get away. She skips off towards the mouth of the sewer, items rattling out of her basket as she goes. In the wake of the Precocious Tosher, the foul riverbank takes on a new light. She stops by an innocuous mound of mud, reaching into its core, and pulls out a handful of pennies. She half hums, half sings music hall songs from 3 seasons ago, with incorrect and alarmingly profane lyrics. She skips in the sludge like a fawn in summer dew. Other urchins take tentative steps back into the mire, emboldened by her lack of care. We can mingle with the mudlarks. There are a few urchins scattered around, picking through the mud. All are skittish and wary and unwilling to stray too far from each other. The Precocious Tosher attempts to lead the scattered urchins into a rousing rendition of a Wolfstack shanty. Her version of the lyrics swap out the raunchy sections for riffs of the scantological that would raise the eyebrows of the hardest old Zolt. But uptake is low, and those children who do join in do so in muted tones. The Precocious Tosher powers through, as if she might conquer the group's fear by sheer persistence and loudness of voice. She looks back at you. Her brows are scrunched up in a frown. "Usually that gets everyone going," she says. "We gotta get this monster so everyone stops being all weird and scared." Well, let's listen for the beast's roaring. So far, the riverbank has been quiet, but the dark mouth of the sewer is close, and it can only be a matter of time. For a while, there is silence. You are simply standing, ankle deep in the mud of the stolen river, where no sensible citizen ever consents to tread. And then it roars. It is a thundering, many-throated thing, as if the underside of the city itself has woken up from a long hibernation and found itself hungering. It surges from the mouth of the sewers, from yawning tunnels and outflow flutes. It batters your eardrums from all directions, bouncing from running water and befouled brick. It is repugnant, and yet somehow alluring. You fight an instinct to move towards it, as if your own feet want to walk right into the beast's mouth. What vast, sedentary beast is this, that tricks its prey into entering its maw? Small wonder the mudlarks are so afraid. The urchins clamber streetwards as soon as the roar begins, climbing with the reflexes of a cat. They are on high alert, tense and attentive, with none of the usual japery that accompanies an urchin gang at work. Only the Precocious Tosher appears unfazed. And now we can enter the sewers. Let's go! The Precocious Tosher is inexplicably keen to enter the monster's lair. But annoyingly, I'm going to leave this on a bit of a cliffhanger before we go into the sewers, because this is where I'm going to end this week's episode. Thank you all very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Let me know what you think. Your comments are greatly appreciated. Thank you again to the members of the channel. It really does mean the world to me. And as always, I'll see you next time.